I stood in the driveway of what used to be my home. A cardboard box in my arms, watching my son, Michael, close the front door in my face. 3 days. It had been 3 days since we buried my wife, Linda. And my own son had just told me I had 48 hours to clear out. "Dad, you need to understand," Michael had said, standing in the doorway with his wife, Jessica, beside him. "The house is in my name now. Mom's will was very clear. We need the space for our family." I wanted to argue. I wanted to remind him that I had lived in this house for 37 years. That his mother and I had built a life here, raised him here, celebrated every Christmas and birthday here. But the look in Jessica's eyes stopped me. Cold, calculating. This had been her idea. I was sure of it. So, I left. I packed what I could fit in my old Chevy and drove to a motel on the edge of town. The Sunset Motor Lodge, $49 a night, a lumpy bed, and a window that looked out onto the highway. This was my life now. That first night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the funeral in my mind. The way Michael had barely looked at me during the service. The way Jessica kept checking her phone. The way the lawyer, a man I'd never met before, had read the will so quickly, like he wanted to get it over with. Something felt wrong. Linda and I had always kept our affairs in order. We'd updated our wills together just 2 years ago, sitting at the kitchen table with our family lawyer, George Patterson. I remembered it clearly because Linda had insisted we do it before our trip to Alaska. "Just in case," she'd said, squeezing my hand. "In that will the house was to remain mine. Michael would inherit after I passed." It was simple, straightforward. So, how had everything changed? I spent the next morning at George Patterson's office. His secretary, Martha, had tears in her eyes when she saw me. "Oh, Tom," she said, "I'm so sorry about Linda. She was such a wonderful woman." "Thank you, Martha. Is George available?" She hesitated. "He's Tom. George retired 6 months ago." "Didn't Michael tell you?" My stomach dropped. "No, he didn't. The firm was sold to a larger practice downtown. Hamilton and Associates. They took over all of George's cases." I left George's office more confused than ever. Why would Michael use a different lawyer? Why wouldn't he tell me George had retired? I drove to Hamilton and Associates, a gleaming glass building in the financial district. The receptionist was polite but firm. Attorney-client privilege meant she couldn't discuss the will with me. When I asked to see a copy, she said I'd need to request it through Michael as he was the executive. I knew Michael wouldn't show me anything. That's when I remembered the storage unit. Linda had rented a storage unit about 10 years ago. She'd said it was for her mother's things, old furniture, photo albums, boxes of memories she couldn't bear to throw away but didn't have room for in the house. I'd helped her move everything in, but I'd never been back. The unit was in her name, paid automatically from her account. I found the keychain in the box of Linda's personal items that Michael had grudgingly let me take. There it was, a small silver key with a red plastic tag. Secure Store Unit 247. The storage facility was on the industrial side of town. As I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed how empty it was. Just a few cars scattered around the rows of orange metal doors. Unit 247 was in the back corner. My hands shook as I unlocked the padlock. The door rolled up with a metallic screech. Inside was exactly what I expected. Stacks of boxes, an old dresser, a rolled-up carpet, Linda's mother's things. But as I stepped inside, I noticed something that didn't belong. A small fireproof safe sitting on top of one of the boxes. It looked new. There was a note taped to it in Linda's handwriting. "Tom, if you're reading this, something has happened to me. The combination is our first date. The 15th of June, 1982. Listen to everything. All of it. I love you. My hands trembled as I spun the dial. The safe opened with a soft click. Inside was a digital voice recorder, the expensive kind journalists use, along with a portable hard drive, several USB sticks, and a spiral notebook filled with Linda's neat handwriting. I picked up the recorder. There was a sticky note on it. Start here. Recording. Hey Sean. I pressed play. Linda's voice filled the storage unit and I had to grip the edge of the dresser to stay standing. Tom, if you're hearing this, then I'm gone. And I'm guessing Michael has done exactly what Jessica planned. I'm so sorry, my love. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I wanted to so many times, but I needed evidence. I needed you to hear what I heard. There was a pause, and I heard her take a shaky breath. 3 months ago, I was in the garden and the kitchen window was open. I heard Michael and Jessica talking. They didn't know I was there. Jessica said she said they needed to expedite things. That we were sitting on $1 million property and they were tired of waiting. Michael laughed. He actually laughed, Tom. And then he said, "What do you want me to do? They're both healthy. Could be another 20 years. I felt sick. Jessica said they needed to change the will. Get everything in Michael's name. Then they wouldn't need to wait. Tom, they were talking about killing us. Both of us." I stopped the recording. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might have a heart attack right there in the storage unit. This couldn't be real, this had to be some kind of mistake. But Linda's voice came back. I know what you're thinking. That I misheard. That I'm being paranoid. So, I bought this recorder and I started documenting everything. There are 83 recordings in this safe, Tom. 83 pieces of evidence. You need to listen to all of them. 83 recordings. I sat down on the dusty floor of the storage unit and pressed play on recording #2. August 3 RD, today, Jessica asked me about my medications. She wanted to know exactly what I take and when. She said she was just trying to help to make sure I didn't miss any doses, but the way she looked at my pill organizer. Tom, I've been reading about medication tampering. It's easier than you'd think. Recording number 3. August 10th. I found one of my blood pressure pills crushed at the bottom of my pill case. I always take them whole. I didn't say anything. I replaced all my medications with vitamins and kept the real ones hidden. If she's tampering with them. She's tampering with Placios now. Recording hash for August 15th, Michael asked me today about the will. Casual over coffee. He said Jessica was worried we didn't have proper estate planning. He recommended a lawyer. Hamilton and Associates. I looked them up. They specialize in, among other things, expedited estate transfers. I told him we already had a lawyer. He didn't look happy. I listened to recording after recording. Linda had documented everything. Conversations she'd overheard. Strange interactions. Jessica's visits to the house when Michael wasn't there. Always asking about finances, about our assets, about the house's value. Recording #20 nearly broke me. September 24th, I went to see George Patterson. I told him everything. He helped me create a new will, a real one that keeps the house in your name. We backdated it properly, all legal. Then I told him I was going to use Hamilton and Associates to create a fake will, one that puts everything in Michael's name. George thought I was crazy, but he understood. The fake will is bait. If something happens to me and Michael presents that will, we'll know he was in on it. She'd set a trap. My brilliant, brave wife had set a trap for our own son. Recording number 47, October 10th. I'm getting sick, Tom. Really sick. The vitamins aren't helping because I'm not taking my real medications. I have to keep pretending to take what Jessica gives me. I feel weak all the time. Dizzy, but I need more evidence. Recording #58. October 25th. I collapsed today. Michael took me to the hospital. They ran tests. My heart, my kidneys. The doctors are confused. My symptoms don't match my supposed medication regimen because I've been taking vitamins instead of real medicine. I'm killing myself to prove they're trying to kill me. God forgive me. I was crying now. Tears streaming down my face in the dim light of the storage unit. Recording #71. November 2nd. I'm home from the hospital. I have maybe weeks left. The damage to my heart is too severe. Tom, I made this choice. I chose to let my health fail to gather evidence. I'm not a martyr. I'm just a mother who needed to know if her son was a murderer. And now I know. Please forgive me for leaving you. Forgive me for not fighting to stay. But I need you to be the one to finish this. You're stronger than me. You always have been. The final recording was dated November 28, 2 days before Linda died. Tom, my love, by now you've heard everything. You know what they did, what they're planning to do. In this safe, you'll find copies of the real will. You'll find Jessica's search history. I installed monitoring software on her laptop. You'll find the tampered medications I saved. You'll find bank records showing payments from Michael to Hamilton and Associates. Everything you need to prove. They forged a will and conspired to commit murder. Her voice grew softer. I'm so tired, Tom. I'm ready to rest. But I need you to promise me something. Don't let grief make you weak. Don't let them win. Take all of this to the police. To a real lawyer. Get our house back. Get justice. Not for me. I'm at peace. But for you, because you deserve better than a son who would do this. There was a long pause. Then I love you, Thomas Edward Price. I loved you from that first date in 1982, and I'll love you long after I'm gone. Be strong. Be brave. And when this is over, please live. Don't let this destroy you. Find joy again. That's all I want. I love you. Goodbye. The recording ended. I don't know how long I sat there in that storage unit holding that recorder, crying for my wife and the trap she'd laid from beyond the grave. Eventually, I gathered everything. The recorder, the hard drive, the USBs, the notebook. Linda had been thorough, maniacally thorough. She documented every conversation, every suspicious moment, every piece of evidence for 3 months. I put it all in a backpack and drove straight to the police station. Detective Sarah Chen listened to the first 15 recordings without saying a word. Then she called the district attorney. By the end of the day, they had opened an official investigation. They seized Linda's medical records. They brought in a forensic accountant to trace Michael's payments. They got a warrant for Jessica's laptop. The monitoring software Linda had installed was a gold mine. Jessica had Googled undetectable heart attack methods, changing will after death, medication interactions that cause death, and how long until heart medication withdrawal causes failure. It took 3 weeks, but they built the case. 3 weeks of living in that motel room, surviving on takeout and coffee, waiting for justice. Michael and Jessica were arrested on a Friday morning. I wasn't there, but Detective Chen called me immediately. We got them, Tom. Conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, forgery, and attempted fraud regarding the estate. The DA is confident. The trial took 6 months. I had to testify. Had to sit in that courtroom and listen to all 83 recordings played for the jury. I had to watch my son's face as he heard his dead mother's voice describing his betrayal. Michael tried to claim he didn't know what Jessica was doing, that she had manipulated him. But the recordings proved otherwise. He'd been involved from the start. Jessica showed no remorse. Even when they played the recording of Linda collapsing, Jessica sat there stone-faced. The jury took 4 hours to convict them both. Michael got 15 years. Jessica got 20. The fake will was thrown out. The real will was validated. The house was mine again, but I didn't move back in. I couldn't. Every room held memories of Linda, and now every memory was tainted by what Michael and Jessica had done, by what Linda had sacrificed to stop them. I sold the house, got $1.2 million for it. I took that money and did what Linda would have wanted. I started a foundation, the Linda Price Foundation for Elder Justice. We help seniors who've been abused or defrauded by family members. We provide legal aid, investigative services, and support. In the first year, we helped 43 people. Detective Chen volunteers her time. So does George Patterson, who came out of retirement to serve on our board. I live in a small apartment now, just 2 bedrooms, one for me, one for all of Linda's things I couldn't bring myself to throw away. On my nightstand, I keep that voice recorder. Sometimes late at night when I can't sleep, I play recording #3 again just to hear her voice. Just to hear her say she loves me. People ask me if I hate my son. If I hate Michael for what he did. The truth is I don't know what I feel. He's my son. I changed his diapers. Taught him to ride a bike. Walked him to his first day of school. Helped him with homework, celebrated his graduation, danced at his wedding, and he was willing to kill me for a house. Sometimes I think about visiting him in prison, but I haven't yet. Maybe I never will. What Linda did, what she sacrificed, it's hard to comprehend. She let herself die to save me. She chose weeks of suffering, of being poisoned by her own son's wife, just to gather enough evidence to stop them. George Patterson told me she'd come to his office one day about a month before she died. She'd been weak, barely able to walk. She'd sat in his office and cried, asking him if she was doing the right thing. She said she felt like she was committing suicide, George told me. I told her to stop. To take her real medications, to go to the police with what she had, but she said it wasn't enough that a good defense lawyer could explain away conversations overheard through a window. She needed ironclad evidence, so she kept recording. Kept pretending to take the tampered, kept letting her body fail. The medical examiner confirmed it during the trial. Linda died of heart failure brought on by medication withdrawal. If she'd taken her real heart medication, she'd likely be alive today. She chose to die to save my life and bring our son to justice. I don't know if that makes her a hero or a martyr or just a deeply wounded mother who needed to know the truth. Maybe she was all three. Last month, the foundation helped a woman in Milwaukee whose daughter had forged a power of attorney and emptied her mother's bank accounts. We got the daughter arrested, got the money returned, and got the mother set up with a protective order and proper legal safeguards. The woman called me afterward crying, thanking me. "Your wife saved me," she said. She saved me even though she never met me. Maybe that's Linda's real legacy. Not the house, not the money, not even the justice we got against Michael and Jessica, but the people she continues to save. Even now I'm 68 years old. I wake up every morning in my small apartment, make coffee, and sit by the window. I think about Linda, about our 37 years together, about the garden she loved, the way she hummed while cooking, the sound of her laugh, and I think about those 83 recordings, her final act of love and protection. Some days I'm angry at her for sacrificing herself, for not just going to the police with what she had, for not trusting that I could protect myself. Other days, I understand. She was my wife, the woman who stood beside me through everything. And when she saw a threat to me, she did what she thought she had to do, even if it cost her everything. The detective told me something once after the trial. She said Linda had left one more recording that they'd kept sealed. It was marked for Tom only after justice. I picked it up last week, sat with it for 3 days before I could bring myself to listen. Finally, on what would have been our 38th anniversary, I pressed play. "Hello, my love. If you're hearing this, then everything worked. They're in prison. You're safe. And I can finally rest knowing you're protected. There was a pause. And I could hear her breathing, labored, and weak. I know you're angry at me. I know you think I gave up, but Tom, I didn't give up. I fought. I fought the only way I could and I won. We won. Another pause. Don't spend the rest of your life mourning me. Please live. Find joy. Maybe even love again. Though I know that thought probably horrifies you right now, but I mean it. You have so much life left to live, and I want you to live it fully. Her voice grew softer, more tender. Do you remember our first date, June 15, 1982? You took me to that little Italian restaurant on Main Street. You were so nervous, you knocked over your water glass twice. I thought you were adorable. I smiled through my tears. You asked me that night what I wanted out of life. And I said I wanted to matter. I wanted my life to mean something. Well, my love, I hope I've done that. I hope that by protecting you, by saving you, I've mattered. There was a long silence. Thank you for 37 beautiful years. Thank you for being the best husband, the best partner, the best friend I could have ever asked for. Thank you for loving me exactly as I was. And thank you in advance for finishing what I started. For getting justice, for being strong. Her voice broke. I love you, Tom. I've always loved you and I always will. Now go live, be happy. Make our life together mean something by living the rest of yours with purpose and joy. That's my final wish. That's all I want. Goodbye, my love. Until we meet again. The recording ended. I sat there in my apartment holding that recorder.